dedicated to advancing racial equity. We're launching the ECCF Racial Equity and Social Justice Fund, a system strategy that will support a lot of strategies we talked about today in ways we talked about today. So we're sharing this for your knowledge about what your community foundation is doing, but this is also an opportunity for our donors to collaborate or co-fund this effort with us if it aligns with your goals. So I'm going to turn it over to Hihershi to tell you more as the leader of this new ECCF fund, and she can share more. Hihershi?
Thanks, Beth. So the Racial Equity and Social Justice Fund is in a way a culmination of ECCF's last few years of learning and action throughout COVID in response to the racial reckoning and beyond. We see it as a long-term effort that takes into account all of the learnings that we've shared with you so far today and more, and builds upon our own growth, our own evolution and reflections in this work as fellow philanthropic and community partners in Essex County. We understand more than ever that becoming a more just Essex County will require us all working collectively towards community change. And ultimately, the purpose of this fund is to help actualize a more just, equitable, and resilient Essex County, one in which everyone has access to the resources and opportunities they need to thrive. Stacy, next slide, please. Our investments will focus on two primary areas: community-rooted organizations and leaders of color advancing justice, so those that are leading the charge in this work, and nonprofit sector racial equity learning and action, those who are looking to transform the ways in which they do their work, also leading towards more racially equitable outcomes. At the same time, we'll be looking to connect and strengthen the broader ecosystem of folks committed to advancing racial equity and social justice in Essex County and beyond. Next slide, please. The first area, community-rooted organizations and leaders of color advancing justice, will invest in the leadership of Essex County's most marginalized and impacted communities of color as they work on the priorities and solutions their communities deem most important. This could look like work to change the conditions within which meaningful policy and structural change can happen. Some of the upstream thinking that we mentioned earlier. So it could be civic engagement, community organizing, or advocacy. It could look like completely reimagining systems and structures. So schools that purposefully center the cultures and histories of our diverse communities, or unarmed crisis response teams that utilize social workers and mental health professionals and are independent of police. Or it could look like programs and services designed, led, and delivered by community, so mutual aid efforts addressing hunger or homelessness, or programs that work to revitalize and preserve diverse languages, traditions, and cultures. Ultimately, as Beth said, this is an opportunity for us to think about this work differently, to work as much as we can in partnership, to honor their work and expertise, and hopefully contribute to their capacity, sustainability, and resiliency so that they'll be in a better position to contribute to the systems change we all know is sorely needed and respond to whatever crises come next. Next slide, please. The second area is on nonprofit racial equity learning and action. An important part of ECCF's work and origins really has been to deliver knowledge and learning for Essex County nonprofits that increases their capacity to achieve their missions. We believe that racial equity practices are a key component of organizational effectiveness and will offer different opportunities to raise awareness of these practices or grow and develop skills in this space. From one-time workshops like those offered at our Institute for Trustees to multi-session cohort learning opportunities like our pilot of the Essex County Racial Equity Leaders Learning Circle. The better equipped our fellow nonprofits are in advancing racially equitable outcomes, the greater our collective momentum towards a more just and equitable Essex County. Next slide, please. And again, across both areas of investment, the fund will work to connect and strengthen the ecosystem of folks committed to advancing racial equity and social justice in Essex County and beyond. This is, big work. It needs all of us, and we all have a role to play. And ECCF, with its strong cross-sector relationships with donors, public officials, nonprofits, and community leaders, we have a unique role to play as a community convener, and we plan to create time and space for those invested in this work to dialogue, share learning, and work through challenges together in communities of practice, with our grantees, partners, or with our EC-REL community, or beyond, perhaps even informally. We know that advancing racial equity and social justice is long-term work that requires sustained focus and investment. And we believe that doing this work in partnership and in community will be more effective than attempting to push through alone.